My name is Jeff Cross, and this is a special edition of Straight Talk. What we're going to do today is kind of preview a special event coming up next month, in about a month. I'm with Brittany, Pete, Ron, and Joe, who are all going to be at this event. It's called Winter Break 2022 down in Florida. And I know January in Florida is a good mix. So, Pete, tell us about this event. Give us the quick highlights, when, where, and all that stuff.
Good afternoon, everybody out there in the Straight Talk Nation. Pete Consigli here. I'm the facilitator for Winter Break 2022. The dates are January 27th to the 29th next year, 2022. It's in Deerfield Beach, Florida. And Deerfield Beach is about a half hour to 45 minutes from both Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach. A little over an hour north of Miami, right on the Interstate 95. We have the Doubletree Hotel by Hilton. Great venue, right off the highway. We have the entire north end of the hotel for our event. We're kicking it off, on the Thursday afternoon, which is the 27th of January, about noon, with a little lunch and early registration. And we have a pre-conference workshop on a legal update dealing with the AOB laws and all the legal issues affecting mold assessors and mold remediators and restoration and drying contractors, and then risk assessment. And we're going to have a very broad-based panel. I can talk about the speakers and topics a little later, Jeff, but let me just give you the rest of the overview. And then our vendors will be setting up during that area during that time. The actual core conference, the main conference, is on Friday, the January 28th and Saturday, the 29th. That's approved for 14 continuing education units, which is the Department of Professional Business Regulations in the state of Florida. They regulate the mold assessing license and for the mold remediators. And every 2 years, they need 14 credits. So we have 7 credits for each day. That's been approved by the state. It's a difficult process. We got through it. Ron had some sleepless nights while we're waiting for the approval process. And of course, the entire program, including the workshop, has continuing education credits for the IICRC, RIA, and the recertification process for the ACAC, which many of the assessors have this certified indoor environmentalist certification, and they need those credits too. And then we have a couple of networking receptions, little vendor breaks, during the lunch and things of that nature. And we're very excited about it. And anyway, that's kind of a general overview of the event. We're hoping anyone who's viewing this video who isn't familiar, hadn't had a chance, Jeff there'll be links when he releases this. They can get all the information you want. And then we have a great staff at the AEML who are hosts, and they're based in Pompano Beach, Florida, which is part of the Fort Lauderdale metro area. And I will say one other thing that's very exciting. Now that the travel restrictions are being opened up globally hopefully in this post-pandemic age, we've already got a Brit that's scheduled to come over to the event, a couple of Canadians, a Canadian exhibitor, and also one of the Australians is already booked and is planning on coming over, and several people from the cold country, besides obviously a lot of people live in Florida who need the credits. And that's very exciting because AEML also has a lab in Melbourne, Australia, and have quite a few customers there. We were hoping more could come, but it is what it is. So whoever wants to come, we're going to welcome them, and they're going to not only get educated, but we're going to have a great time with all the social functions surrounding the winter break. And we're very glad, Jeff, to have you come. And I guess you're taking a little bit of a break and having your wife come down. You'll take a little break around that. That's true.
Absolutely. So we'll be there, and we're going to head down to the Keys. Never been to Key West, so we're going to make a little vacation after, maybe recovery after this conference. I might need that after learning all this stuff you guys are going to be teaching us. Well, thank you, Pete, for the details. We'll get to everyone else here in a moment. I know Joe, who's with us, Joe Hughes. You've got a passel of kids there at your house. You got to leave in a minute, but tell us, Joe, why are you going to this event?
Well, we're big supporters of Pete and the event, and Ron, AEML, great sponsors of IAQ Radio. Pete's been a big help over the years. We really appreciate it. I know how hard he's worked on putting together a lineup, but not just great speakers, but doing it in a way that makes logical sense. And I think anybody that attends will get a lot out of the presentations. And also want to mention that the Moisture Mob from IAQ Radio is heavily represented at this event. And I hope that everyone can make it out to Pete's event and Ron at AEML. And that's about all I've got to say, Jeff. And thanks. Congratulations on the show, by the way. I hear it's going well.
It is going well. So you're going to do a radio broadcast?
Yeah, the Z-Man will be representing us at the AEML Winter Break 2022. The Florida Mold Conference, I believe, is the subtitle. But anyway, yeah, the Z-Man will be there, and he'll be doing some presentations. And we're also going to do a show live from the event, and then another one the following week. So we'll be covering it very closely.
All right. Well, we'll let you get back to your. Here's a co-host right here. I don't know.
Yeah, here's my. This is guy we're breaking in. He's my intern.
An intern, great. Well, feel free to bring your intern with you as well. I'm sure there'll be room for interns to be at this event. All right, Joe, thank you. Let's move over to Ron. I believe, Ron, you were looking at through a microscope. Are you able to take a moment and talk about this event?
I have time for you.
All right, go ahead. So why should we come?
Well, what I'm excited about mostly is seeing everyone again. You know, we haven't seen anyone. Well, I don't want to say we haven't seen anybody, but we have a lot of walking clients. But we're all going to be together in winter break. We haven't seen each other. We haven't gotten together like this since 2020, which was our last seminar event in February. So that's what I'm looking forward the most. And if you've never been to winter break, I encourage you to come down. In Florida, we're an open state. All the bars and restaurants are open, and we're going to see everybody there and enjoy the weather, especially if you're up north.
Yeah, I'll probably be leaving a few snowbanks behind myself. So, and Brittany, I think Pete said you're kind of in charge of everything. I don't know what that means. Tell us what you're going to be doing.
The winter break is going to be an awesome first event, like Ron was saying, because it's going to be the first thing that everyone is going to be at in the new year in 2022. It's been a hard couple of years for everyone. And I think this will be a great event to learn something with all the great speakers that we're going to have. And also it's definitely a social event. You'll get to meet new people, and people from all over the world are coming too. So it's very exciting. We're happy about it.
All right. Well, looking forward to seeing everyone there. Pete, I guess let's go back to you. You wanted to talk about some of the speakers or some of the presentations that we can look forward to.
Yeah, well, Joe already talked about the Moisture Mob. Anybody that follows the IEQ Radio knows that for about 2 years now, we had a series of fellows from the Moisture Mob that were connected from a trip in 2019 to Dublin that was hosted by the Tramex guys. And Cliff and myself went from the restoration industry. There were roofers there, a lot of different people from the flooring industry, the wood flooring, the concrete industry, the roofing industry, all these industries that are served, through in the moisture meter deal. And some of these guys I had known and we knew from the industry. The restoration, Jeff, as you're aware, a lot of the roots were from carpet cleaning. I mean, every water loss through gravity, flooring gets wet. So you got to deal with floors. And what I realize is restoration and cleaning guys and flooring guys started in the late 70s, early 80s to build the industry. And over the last 20, 30 years, we've kind of went our own way as each of those industries developed. And now what we're finding, at this time, the industries are colliding because as the industry is cares about standard setting, moisture content in concrete, this affects a lot of, whether it's commercial carpet cleaning, flooring installation, obviously restoration and drying and mold. It affects all those industries. So the more different people you can have with their different perspectives, the better. Now, what I've learned is these flooring guys know more about moisture and concrete than the restoration industry. I can say that. I think a lot of restoration guys think they know a lot, and they do, but they can learn stuff from the flooring guys. And the flooring guys have huge risks involved with these installations if there's not the proper moisture content. So they need moisture, those floors, to be dried not from an event, but they need it dried from just acclimation before they install. Where restoration guys, it's a one-time event. So depending on the level of saturation, depends how difficult or how complex the process is. So we have a variety of these guys, the roofing guys, and every one of the angles of the talk, Jeff, is designed. If moisture enters the building and you're a mold assessor or mold remediator or a drying guy, what do you need to know about that? You don't need to be a flooring expert or a roofing expert or any of that, but you need to know, how does the moisture travel? So if you're assessing, you're remediating, that you have a better understanding. That's obviously what continuing education is all about, particularly if it gets approved through the state, because it's difficult. They look at those things very carefully. It's a pretty heavy load to get those approved. So we have about a half of those guys, and a lot of them are Floridians and live in Florida. Then we have our keynote presentation, our solving moisture mysteries in hot, humid climates. And we got Paul Lagrange and Dr. Claudette Rochelle. She's got her doctorate in education at LSU Extension Institute, and she's actually retiring in January. Hopefully they'll give her an emeritus status. And Paul, anyone that knows Joe Steebrook and knows the summer camp, he's the executive chef that after 20 years runs that, but he's a very well-known investigator and dealing in building science in the Louisiana area. So they're going to give a presentation, which is just fabulous. I've reviewed all of them as they've went into the state. And then Andy Ask, who's well-known in the industry of, he was a past president of IQA, he's an engineer. He's doing a presentation on how to apply dehumidification to HVAC systems for more effective drying. That's going to be a high interest topic. So when Joe is saying it's the way that it's organized, the theme of the conference is called the 4 M's. So it's in this order: moisture, and those are the moisture talks. Then how does it affect materials? That'll be in the afternoon. The materials are going to be wood, concrete, roofing, and then Dr. Ralph Moon is going to be giving a presentation. 3 moisture mop guys are doing that. Dr. Ralph Moon is giving 1 or 2 presentations. That one is one he did on research on the effects of duration of moisture on wood and metal materials in buildings. He's done this for his legal expert work and some of the insurance stuff that he does. That's the first day. And now we have special moderators free session. John Lapator, past president of IQA, is moderating moisture. Our friend, Mr. John Downey, the executive director, Siri, is dealing with the materials. And I set John up to do this specifically because he's going to look, all those moisture mop guys, these are the kind of guys that he's going to want to submit articles to be peer reviewed in the journal. You can trust me on that one. And then that's the afternoon. And day 2, we kick off with mold. And we got Rachel Adams to kick off. She needs no introduction to the restoration folks. She's going to cover the specifics and the dynamics of what does the S500 stuff mean, specifically the complexities, the liability, all that stuff. She's going to put it in real on the street kind of deal, not read from the book. Then Mike McGinnis, he was at 2020, and Ron can attest. He's a Jersey boy, longtime CIH, very actively involved in the restoration industry. Wrote the health and safety chapter for WLS. He's given a lifetime presentation of the 40 years of the stupid stuff that he did and the lessons that he learned. He put a lot of time into it. Matter of fact, the presentation, the graphics were so big that he couldn't have anyone figure out how to send it digitally. So he put it on a flash drive and he FedExed it to me. I just got it yesterday. That's the final one. We submitted his, but he did a little tweaking. And then Bob Lotchinger, who's one of the moisture mop, has a fabulous case study presentation on all the different issues that he had, and a lot of high profile projects, which we don't mention them, but these are, and he lives in Fort Lauderdale. In the afternoon, and to bring the wrap up, we have a keynote panel with the Z-Man, who's doing a brand new presentation called odor hunting. This is a new patented technology. This is the first time he's introduced into the industry. And he's packaged with Dr. Alice Dalia from the Enthalpy Labs, who specializes in fire residues. And we've titled her talk, Smoke the New Mold, because we believe that talk with the S700 being in development is going to be very important for the assessors who may expand into that area. Obviously, the mold guys to do that. And also the remediators are going to be affected by it. So we put them together, 2 related talks, and then we're going to have a little joint Q&A with the 2, because obviously Cliff is an expert in the smoke also. And then the wrap up, 2 very strong presentations to wrap up. The first one is from Ken Siders, who is an assessor And his company, he's from the peninsula up in Florida. He was bought out several years ago by House Check, who do checks on buildings, in a sales transaction. They now have an environmental division, which he's a senior VP for. And what he does is they go into CAT zones and he assembles assessors to specify jobs. So he's specifically talking to assessors, but also they work with remediators too. He's put together 4 case study projects of the type of stuff that a lot of people are hesitant to share. He's sharing it. It's going to be very insightful. And then the wrap-up speaker is going to be Dr. Moon with the second one. He is going to give a detailed presentation on the use of ATP, the use and misuse in the restoration industry. He previewed that on IAQ radio show, and he was supposed to go to Hawaii with the Hawaii show for the healthy building, but I don't think I'm not sure if he can go, but there wasn't that show is set up that they don't get a lot of time. So he's going to have the full hour to delve into that with a Q&A, with a 50 minutes in the Q&A period. And this is important. It was peer reviewed in the journal, in the Siri journal, but now he's going to be able to talk. And Dr. Moon's been on our programs before, dating back to 2016. He's very highly regarded. The local people love him. Knows how to really present technical information in a very logical way. So Ken Larson is the moderator for that session. And Mr. John Isaacson, the Intentional Restorer, Mr. Diojo, they're also a sponsor like IQ Radio and Clean Facts and Straight Talk. He's moderating the mold section. And those are the moderators. Now, go back to Ron and Brittany, and then I can wrap up with this pre-con workshop in the legal and risk management. That's pretty important. I know you're going to come in early. You're going to sit through that one. I'm pretty sure you want to do that, right? Because there's a couple people there who are very well known with your audience that I kind of talk about it. And I'm very excited about that. So the pre-conference workshop is something that we wanted to do for winter break dating back for several years. And we just never had the time. We weren't able to pull it off. When we planned this event way in advance, because obviously it was during the pandemic, we specifically said we're going to do a pre-conference workshop. The pre-conference workshop it doesn't have the state credit, but it does have all the industry credits, and it's separate from the main event for the industry stuff, because some people will come to workshop only, some may only come to the core event. Most people will come to both, because if you register for the main event, you basically get that as a throw-in, but you can register separately. It's 4 hours. And it's into 2 sections. The first section is the insurance and legal section. And the second part is called the assessment and the remediation section. And so we have a tremendous lineup. Cliff Zlotnick is going to be the facilitator moderator for that. And we have 2 local lawyers. After the AOB law change with Harvey Cohen, he recommended these 2 guys out. They're fabulous. David Popper and Justin Peterson. They're both based in Orlando. They specialize in contract law. They've written a lot of contracts in the post-AOB era for a lot of Florida contractors and other contractors in some of the southeastern states. They're going to do a complete update on the law, what you need to know, et cetera, et cetera. Then Peter Croce, your friend that you've been doing these the TBU things for a long, long time, our friend, is going to be given the insurance perspective on dealing, with insurance companies from a adjuster standpoint. And then Dr. Moon is going to give, he's doing 3 things besides his 2 main ones, talk about a deposition and talk about what happens if you get deposed from a legal standpoint. Then we take the break. And then after that, John Lapatura is going to give a IEP's perspective as an assessor, and he does expert witness risk. Ken Larson, from a restorer's perspective, on doing third-party evaluations, establishing the type of water, S500, those kinds of things. And then finally, Rusty Amarante, who is the only one who has no PowerPoint. He's a senior vice president of operations for Belfour, the global leader. Rusty has the talking points, and he's basically going to just talk about risk assessment, the type of things that restorers should do. This kind of lends to the Ed Cross's work on how to get paid and how to insure your risk, how to get the contract signed properly, and to make sure you get your bills paid. And and treat your subcontractors, employees, all that. So it's a general risk assessment. And then Cliff's gonna do a little wrap up. And the one other thing that we have supporters. So besides these sponsors, CNR Magazine and Michelle Blevins and Patty Harmon, with Claims Magazine, their supporters, REA. They couldn't send anyone there. All the other groups will be able to have someone. So they're supporters, which means they're going to send some literature down. We'll have a spot for them. And with Claims in particular, with that audience, and Peter Crosa actually is an advisor to Claims to Patty. Cliff is going to write a 500-word blog on the legal and risk management that'll be targeted at the Claims audience. And Patty is going to publish it, probably not in Claims, but their digital platform is called Property Casual 360. And she heads up that group and editor-in-chief of Claims. And she would have come, but there was some reason that she couldn't. So they're going to publish that, and we're going to get a little bit of play with that audience, with the issues surrounding that. And so that's the whole McGilla. I mean, it's very, very highly technical by some of the leading authorities in the area, with the moderators and facilitators, and then a big social event to it of how we set it up, dinner parties at night, and it's just, and the weather is great, and we're just hoping people will come, and we'll sell it out. We sold 2020 out, and we'll sell this one out. All the vendor space has been sold out for a couple of weeks now, but and we appreciate, Jeff, really on a serious note, the coverage that Clean Facts has given our event for many years, the support. Amanda's done a wonderful job, and now I'm really happy that you're coming. We're able to do the Straight Talk podcast, because every day there'll be a live podcast. On Thursday, the Ojo John Eisen kicks it off. Then you heard Joe Hughes talk that Cliff on the Ground will do one during the lunch break on Friday, and then you'll do your Straight Talk on the Saturday. My understanding is I'd like you to do a small live stream process, and then you can do a little bit more that you can edit and you can send out. So we wanted to have a live report, and then the week later, IEQA is going to do a highlight show, and we're going to have all the moderators call in and just talk about lessons learned and what they learned from it, and they've done a great job of covering that. So that's it.